Hey everyone, welcome to another $1,000 strap search. I've got my $1,000 in singles here and I'm about to show you what I found. But before I do, let's talk about this week's tip. Now, when I return notes, one of the things that always surprises me is the tellers say, "Oh, good, we get your notes. Your notes are always in such good condition." And I kind of scratch my head because the notes I have are random notes. There's no reason that my notes would be better than anybody else's. But some people have a little bit of OCD, and when they see notes that are returned that are every different direction, kind of drives them crazy. Now, if you go through notes and you're obviously looking for serial numbers, you're going to be facing your notes, putting all the notes so that they all face the same way. That alone makes the tellers appreciate it more. There was a time that tellers were required to face notes. Now it's kind of a thing of the past, but that hasn't changed the habit of people facing notes. So when you bring in notes that are already faced, right there, that is a big plus on your side. The other thing I do, though, is when I get my notes, I will put a heavy book on top of them and let it sit for 24 to 48 hours before I go through them. And that presses the notes down. That kind of compacts the notes and makes them easier to go through. It also makes them much easier to handle and makes them much neater when you go to return them because every one of them has had weight pushed on it. Does it improve the note in any way? Minorly, but it's so much better going in with a strap that looks like this rather than a strap that's all fanned out because so many notes are still wrinkled up and creased and everything else. So by doing that, you're making the teller's jobs just that much easier, and they will respect you more for that. A lot of times banks frown on collectors, especially coin collectors, because coin collectors cause a lot of work for a bank. If you bring in $100 worth of pennies to just cash in, do you know how long it's going to take that bank to get rid of $100 in pennies? Yeah, forever. Not to mention how heavy that is. Where banknotes aren't very heavy at all. They aren't that bulky, and as long as you're not returning them 10,000 at a time, the bank isn't going to get upset at you. That's why I only do 200 at a time. So by doing that, I stay in the good graces of the bank, and by pressing the notes, it makes my notes seem a little bit better. Even when I show them here, they seem to show up a little bit better. All right, let's get these out of the way and take a look at what I found this week. We are in the third week of my $3,000 tips package, I guess you could say. Someone deposited $3,000 worth of tips that they had been saving all year long, and these were those notes. So I picked them up. This is episode 3. We're starting off with a Where's George. Now this is something that really surprised me. I expected to find a lot more Where's George notes when you talk about a place where people get tips. Generally speaking, you want to use your Where's George notes in places as tips because if a waiter or waitress has a bunch of singles, they're more likely to color them up for larger bills in the register so that they can use the singles on the register as change for people who are paying. So it keeps those notes circulating. I've not seen a Where's George note like this, stamped front and back. So I am going to excitedly log this one. This one here, somebody stamped it with a bingo dauber. That's all that is. That's not an ink smear, nothing funny there. It's just a random stamp. Found another stripper note. You can see this one is pretty clear. Pretty nasty. The person that turned these in, even though they were a tipped employee, I don't think they were a dancer. All right, got some trinaries, 0s, 1s, and 9s. Once again, trinaries and quads have no additional value. I save them trying to pair notes. So 0s, 1s, and 9s, 0s, 2s, and 8s, 6s, 7s, and 8s, 3s, 8s, and 9s, 1s, 5s, and 6s, 1s, 2s, and 4s, 3s, 7s, and 9s, 0s, 3s, and 4s. For those of you who think that trinaries might be worth money and I'm wrong, in 1,000 notes, look at how many of these I've found. So when you're searching and you don't have to ask if you found any. If you have to ask how many did you find, that's not rare. Ones, fours, and fives. Fours, fives, and nines, still going. Threes, fours, and eights. And then some quads. Quad ones with a fifth, and it's a trinary for what that's worth. Quad ones again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a fifth 5, and it's a trinary as well. Quad 5s again. Quad 8s, also a trinary, 1s, 2s, and 8s. And my star notes. Don't forget to check to see if they're filled. 2017A, a nice 2017A. 2017A, 2017, 2013, 2003A starts the older notes. This one's in rough shape. 2003A, also rough shape. Another 2003, better than the others, but still pretty rough. 2003, also rough with a little bit of a bank teller stamp. No additional value, not an error. 2003, should have fixed that corner. And another 2003, 1999, 1995, not a web note. Easy way, do you see the location here? If you can see a location, it's not a web note. Web notes do not have anything right there, this little F1. They also only have one digit here, and the plate number on the back is in a different spot. 1988A, first year possible for web notes, and you can see it's not. 1985. 1969. That was the oldest note I found this week, and it's still a little crisp. It's still got some crunch to the paper. I found this one. I'm not going to be saving this. In fact, this one will get stamped Where's George, but whenever you see the two digits in the center that are the same, that's your first hint that you may have found a radar. You've got those two digits there, and then you work your way out. You got the zeros, then you've got threes on either side, then you have the ones on either side, and nope, 5 and 2. So if that was a 5 or if that was a 2, this would have been a radar. So yeah, focusing right here on those center digits, whenever they're the same, that's when you have a shot at a radar. I decided that I was going to show you guys this because normally I pull these, I don't show them. I take notes like this that are one-off, and I stamp them Where's George. Because if you put a stamp on a note, you're definitely making sure that there was no collector value on that. And I don't want people to try to fool others going, oh, it's one away from a radar, it's worth $1 million. No. So by helping destroy the note by putting my stamp on it, that kind of takes care of that problem. And of course, I do have something in a sleeve. 2718, 2718. I found another repeater. So in 3,000 notes, I found 2 repeaters and a binary, and that 4 quads note. Not a bad haul for somebody's tips that they just didn't bother to look through. They counted it, and that's all they cared about. And I'm glad because I get to keep all the goodies. All right, so what did I pull out this week? Well, this week I pulled out one of the more affordable notes. If you don't have, I shouldn't say this one, if you don't have this set, get on it. This is the 1934 $10 silver certificate. Now, if you can find the 34 series in decent shape, it has this bright blue numeral here, which really pops. The only way this looks better is if you get the North Africa note, which has the yellow here and then the blue here, but those are a little bit more. The $10 1934 series, I don't know what else to say. The 34 series, the 1, the 5, and the 10 all do that blue numeral there. I say it's light blue. It's actually the same color blue as the seal. There's just more white coming through because these are all fine lines, and that's a little bit more solid. So it looks light blue, but it's just a trick of the eyes. In fact, the serial numbers, the seal, and the digit are all the same color blue. It's just a trick of the eyes based on how they printed it. Now, this was the only year that they did that blue numeral. So looking at the back of the note, it's the very familiar "Know in God We Trust" on there. What was I going to say on this one? Oh, yeah. Only the 34 series has that digit. Now, they did come out right away with the 35 series to change the $1 notes. So those you don't see as often. And in fact, let's grab the big book and see what the big book has to say about this. And when I say big book, you guys know, Paper Money of the United States. That's the book. If you don't have it, get it. And here we go. Here's the $10 Blue Seal. You can see they did a 34, 34A, 34B, 34C, 34D. So these were out for a little while, but then you look down here and then you've got the 53 series, and you can see how the numeral is now gray versus the Blue Seal there. The Blue Seal is much smaller. You can see the comparison. So yeah, the 34 through 34D series, the $10 note went a while without having anything being redone. But when you look at the one was 1934, and then right away in 35 they changed that over. And the $5 bill followed along the lines of the 10. There's the $5 bill, series 34A, B, C, D. And then you finally get to the, which one is it? There's the gray, and those were, I can't get it because my camera's in here, starting in 1953 as well. So the hard note out of this set is the 1, because it was only 1934. So that's going to make all the notes relatively close in price. But let's look at the price on that 10. You're going to see in grade 8, they're anywhere from 40 to, let's see, 40, 42 in the Mule, 38, 40. Yeah, so they're about $40 in VG8. 12, they get up just a little bit higher. 20, once again, you're not talking very much. What is it, 55 on one note there? So they're not very expensive. Even if you find them in really nice shape, you're talking $250, $250 to $300 as a Gem 65. So these are very affordable notes to get, and they're beautiful compared to these anyway. I like these better than the Federal Reserve, but those are my favorite silver certificates right there. So if you have the opportunity to pick one of these up and it's in decent shape, I would jump on that because it's a very easy collection to put together. Only 3 notes, the 1, the 5, and the 10. All right, guys, if you learned anything new this week, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.